You know she's getting filled by some black stud. You know there's some black fucking bull that's just filling her with cock meat, giving her the real fuck she deserves. Some big black bull just filling her with cock meat. And that's his crazy talk. Cock meat.
All right, how are we all doing, chat? How are we all doing? Can you hear me right? Okay. Somebody in the chat just says balls. Thank you very much for that. Very, very helpful. Good contribution. Oh man. So I just watched the Daily Wire movie. Well, I guess I didn't watch it. I watched the Revenge of the Sis Guys riff on it, which is kind of the same. It's better. It was better with them riffing on it. What is it called? I can't even remember. Something like Run, Shoot, Hide, or something like that. So it's the story of like a school shooting, and these Columbine guys, and they lock down the school and they get everybody trapped, and this girl has to like die hard John McClane, not John McCain. She didn't rat out fellow prisoners and then run for Senate 30 years later. No, John McClane, the whole situation. And it's balls. It's absolutely atrocious. Run, fight, hide. Okay. It is so bad. But, and I think, is any of you surprised that the Daily Wire fucking movie is bad? Never get any of their products, by the way. My poor dad got sucked into getting Jeremy's razors because poor boomer dad, all frightened with how the world has changed on him. And in many ways, you should be frightened. But he sees the commercial, our razors aren't woke. It's got a girl in an American flag bikini or something. So he buys them, and he let me try one because they're shockingly bad. Maybe we got a bad batch, but they were all like that. They were as dull as fucking butter knife. It's like he's ripping the hair out of your face. I'm sure the Jeremy's chocolate tastes like shit. Like, oh yeah, somebody in the chat mentions Daily Wire Snow White. It looks just as bad as the movie Disney canceled. Like, oh. So we got this Daily Wire movie. And first of all, we got Thomas Jane in it. Why is Thomas Jane in it? He was the Punisher. Like, he once had a career. I don't know. Maybe he's blacklisted or something. I don't even understand who this movie is for. You would think... Well, I guess I got to give it a little bit of credit. It's not as, like, transparently pandering as I thought it is. It's more just a bunch of cliches than it is I guess there's kind of a pro-Second Amendment message in it, I guess. Really no more than any other action movie where everybody's shooting each other. But it's just the most transparent, like it was... Not transparent, just cliched like it was written by a chatbot kind of fucking script. Like, as you're watching it, everything that you think is going to happen, happens. But there's also, like, I don't know what the message in it is. Like, I really thought it was going to be some pandering bullshit, you know what I mean? I really thought it was going to be, like, talking to me about the libtards and stuff like that. But it wasn't. In some ways, there's a bunch of woke shit in it, I guess. It was... we got the teenage girl. She's all getting blacked. She's got her black boyfriend. Like, I don't know what they were even trying to do with it. It doesn't make any sense. And there's like there's a lot of cursing in it, which I would think would not be okay with the Daily Wire boomer conservative audience, and a bunch of evangelicals fucking watch Ben Shapiro, don't they? There's a scene at the beginning where the girl is out hunting with her father, and they shoot a deer, and Punisher there, he's standing over. Not even, let's be real. I'm not even saying Thomas Jane deserves a better career than he got, because I mean, he's not even the best Punisher. Okay, that's Ray Stevenson's the best Punisher. Thank you very much. But they're like standing over this deer, and he's like lecturing his daughter. He's like, "Well, it's tempting to let nature," because they shot it, but it's still alive. They shot it in the chest. They're like, "You got to finish the job. You can't let it suffer." And he gives her this big long speech, and as he's doing that, she picks up a rock and smashes the deer's fucking skull in. Shouldn't even get the gun. Like, the gun would be quicker. It's a deer. You might have to hit it twice with a rock, but I'm like, this is our hero. Okay, this is our hero. She's a cunt, by the way. She's awful. She's unlikable. She really doesn't have much of an arc. She's not really better at the end of this. It's not like a shitty character that's like less shitty. No. And then at the end, she corners the main guy, the orchestrator of the school shooting, because he got away. Because the cops in this movie are, inept's not even the word. The cops in this movie are comically retarded. Like, I almost, like, I'm sorry, but isn't your audience pro-cop? I don't, like, so she runs this guy down in the woods and shoots him in the stomach. And then she stands over him and gives that same speech her father gave about how it's not right to leave him to suffer. Your lungs will slowly fill up with blood and it will be very painful. And she looks like she's gonna bash his fucking head in with a rock. She's holding this big rock up and she just throws it down like right next to him. She walks off to leave the bad guy to slowly suffer because this is our hero. It's our hero, chat. I don't even know what the point of this movie was. I don't know what they were trying to say to me. Okay, chat says that Daily Wire literally bought a finished movie that no one else wanted. They had no role in its creation. Then they go, look at us creating culture. I don't know if that's real, but that kind of seems right. Because this is sort of vaguely right-wing. Oh, now you woke up because I've been streaming. All right, hang on, chat. I gotta go kill this dog. I gotta go bash his head in with a rock. Because I can't leave him to suffer. You know, chat? What do you want? You want to bother me? You want to bother me? Is that what you want? Here. Have this rawhide and leave me be. Yeah, I gotta get the... I gotta get the spare room more cleaned out. I kind of have room to stream up there, but I don't know. It's not extremely comfortable up there for... I gotta get a better chair up there is what I gotta do. So I thought maybe I can stream downstairs without him bothering me because he was just sound asleep. But then he got up. Oh, man. So they just bought a movie no one else wanted. That's hilarious. Well, let's hear about something they are working on, though. See if Windows Capture works. So it says, no wonder Ben Shapiro was a failed screenwriter. He could never make it into Hollywood producing try-hard, edgelord garbage like that. It's bad. It's very bad. I don't know what the fuck the thought process was with it. Here we go, chat. The Daily Wire now has a kids app. I'm going into this blind. I just saw it on Twitter. I haven't actually watched this yet, but I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to save the West, chat.
Hi, you made it.
Oh, hello.
Wanna play?
I've seen enough. These two are ready.
Ready or not, here we go. Please keep your arms and legs inside the cart at all times.
Hurry up, the party is starting soon.
Yeah! Follow me. Where's he going? We're going on a treasure hunt.
We're exploring the wild blue yonder.
It's chiller time!
Pretty incredible.
It's unbelievable.
Whether big or little, little or big, we all have fabulous adventures together.
Wow!
It's time to head off for adventure.
Look around you. All we need is the bit of music.
Drum solo.
Imagine this.
All I see is adventure.
It's an app? Okay. Most of the Daily Wire are failed actors. You're not wrong. Most of the right wing opposition media are fake. Like, you're not wrong there. Well, that was nothing. I was hoping we'd have something to rip on there, chat, and we did not. Thank you, Daily Wire. Oh man, that was useless. I assume most of those are ripoffs of other things. Like, it's probably just whatever's popular right now. But a shitty right-wing version of it. Though I don't know, man. I can't say this movie I just watched was a right-wing movie. That would imply that it had a point. And I'm not really certain it did. I don't think anybody learned a lesson in this movie. And I don't think anybody grew as a character from the lessons they did not learn. Somebody says, Michael Knowles gives me the creeps. I think I know who you're talking about. Most of the Daily Wire guys look like sociopaths. I think I know who you're talking about. Let me look him up real quick. Yes, he does look like a sociopath. Not as much as Matt Walsh. And who himself does not look as much like a sociopath as Ben Shapiro. I gotta say though, Matt Walsh is he's talking a lot about how we shouldn't be getting involved in the war with Israel, and the war Israel's doing, and it's my gosh, it's Matt Walsh is actually sounding a little America first and not Israel first, which I don't know, Matt. I think you're gonna get fired. Like, I don't think you could do that working for the man you work for. I don't think you could do that, bud. I feel like that's gonna get you fired. I mean, maybe it won't. Somebody says, not only did Daily Wire not make it, skimming the Wikipedia article now says they only brought the distribution rights for North America. Random normal companies owning the rights in other places. That's interesting. Why would you buy this movie, though? Did none of them watch it first? I could understand if, like, they had a big push where they had their own version of Netflix and they were just trying to gobble up as much content as possible. Like, if this was one of many movies they bought. Because it does seem like something I might I might stumble across on Tubi or something. Although, that's not fair to Tubi. I usually find more gems on Tubi. But, you find the stuff people don't talk about, even if it's good. Like fucking the horror movie Cube or The Void. You find those on there. Not heavily talked about, but they're good. So it had nothing to do with it. I mean, I guess that makes sense why it's not. Like, I feel like a Daily Wire. I wonder if these kids shows that they got are made by them, or if they have any hand in it, or if they just snatched up a bunch of, like, you know, dollar store versions of kids shows that are cheap and throw them all together on a fucking streaming platform or an app, I guess. If it's for your kids, though, why would you... Okay, maybe I'm going to sound a little tech illiterate here, but hear me out, chat. If it's for my kids, if I need something to just babysit my little rugrats, you know, so you can go in the other, you know, so you can take a shit in peace without your toddlers bothering you. I feel like I would want something on the TV. I guess, maybe you can get it on Roku, but like they're showing the app and they're making it look like, I'm not going to just hand my kid my phone. I don't know, maybe kids have their own fucking phones. Maybe I'm just really old-fashioned. I wouldn't, if I had like a 5-year-old, first of all, there's no way he has a smartphone. Second of all, no, you can't look at mine. Like, that's mine. It's expensive and delicate. And it's mine. You know, I don't need you stumbling into all the, just hypothetically, redhead lesbian porn I have downloaded on it. You don't need to look at that. You know. Just a hypothetical, you know. Just a random thing you might have on your phone that you don't want your kids seeing, you know. You know, all the dick pics that I take to email to Taylor Swift. She still hasn't responded yet. I think she might have blocked me. Man, I was hoping we could get. I thought there was going to be much more on this Daily Wire kids shit. We could really dig in there. And I don't know. Is Matt Walsh up to anything? What's he up to these days? Let's see. Doesn't look like anything crazy going on with Matt Walsh. Man, I was hoping we'd have more content here. Ooh. Oh, this is the video okay, so this is the video I wanted. This is him talking about the kids thing that they put out. Okay, so here I gotta skip.
During the Great Depression, this very weed was collected in bathtubs. People washed it and prepared it for canning.
God, you get the weirdest fucking commercials when you're watching Daily Wire shit.
The single most common refrain you've heard.
All right, let's watch him, Matt Walsh. So it says that my sister has a subscription to Daily Wire streaming service on her TV. Okay, yeah, that's fine, but they were showing this on the phone. That's what perplexed me. Like, I get it if it's on the TV, you know, but like, I'm not gonna hand my kids my smartphone. I'm not gonna do that. Like, for a number of reasons, I'm not gonna do that. First of all, I'm not gonna have kids because I don't want kids. Okay. We don't need another one of me running around. Haven't I done enough damage? But if by chance I had kids, if for example I was fucking a redhead and she lied to me about being on the pill, you know, things like that have been known to happen. And I was stuck in such a terrible situation, I would not be giving the kid a smartphone. You know, like, why? Apparently, Chat's sister doesn't like watching Shapiro, at least. Well, good. Good. I was worried you'd have to put her down. Sometimes dead is better. All right, let's see what old Matt Walsh is up to. God, he looks like a sociopath. There we go. Yes, we're talking about some Daily Wire stuff, Chad. They're gonna teach you kids important values. Which is ironic because Matt Walsh doesn't look like he should be around kids. But
from conservative politicians for generations since Eisenhower is that the news media has a left-wing bias. Long before Donald Trump went after fake news, Richard Nixon was telling his aides not to talk to the New York Times and the Washington Post. Newt Gingrich insisted that he didn't read letters to the editor in newspapers because the editors were all leftists. Bob Dole ignored questions about his views on tobacco because he didn't care what the, quote, liberal media thought. Republicans have...
And how'd that work out for most of them, by the way? Like, okay, Eisenhower was crazy popular. Nixon, they pretty much destroyed him. Gingrich, they pretty much destroyed him. I mean, Bob Dole, you know. Like, I understand the media's out to get you and you got to be smart about it, but the one thing you say about Trump is he played him. He didn't run away from him like a bitch. That's always been a conservative problem with the media. Is you run away from him like a bitch.
Disparaged the media for so long because the media deserves it. The vast majority of news outlets in this country are corrupt and partisan, and everybody knows it on both ends of the political spectrum. So it's an easy target to hit over and over and over and over again. The problem with this approach isn't that it's wrong. I mean, it's correct. They're right about what they're saying about the news media. The problem is that it doesn't go nearly far enough. It doesn't come close to addressing the extent of the bias, the ideological capture in American media. Yes, corporate news media is propaganda from the New York Times to NBC to CNN.
I'm going to speed this up because Matt Walsh is exceptionally boring. So let's give him let's give him the old Vox Day treatment, shall we? You're going to 1.25.
The Washington Post and so on, we know that. But the news media is just part of a much, much larger issue. What conservatives almost never talked about for decades.
I love when you take a guy like Matt Walsh and you speed him up to 1.25 and it mostly sounds normal. It mostly sounds like how a human being talks then. Like it's, in Matt Walsh's case, it's ever so slightly fast. Like he's in a bit of a hurry, you know, like he's coming up against a commercial break back in the old radio days. But like Vox Day, it's still kind of slow when you go to like 1.5. But I love how these guys, they sound normal when you do things that should not make them sound normal. No one should sound normal at 1.25 speed.
Is that this bias also exists in other forms of media where it is in fact much more insidious and harmful, and most notably in children's programming. You know, that's a much bigger deal than bias in mainstream news coverage for reasons that should be obvious. Adults who are the primary audience for news coverage have more mature brains than children, at least some of us do. They're generally capable of recognizing propaganda when they see it, or they should be capable of it anyway. But children, for the most part, don't have that ability. If Nickelodeon bombards them with non-binary characters, and if Disney hits them with a not-so-secret gay agenda, which they've admitted is their goal, then kids are totally vulnerable to it. They're helpless. And also on top of that, entertainment, as opposed to news media, burrows deeper into the human soul and psyche. It can shape you in ways that a CNN news segment simply cannot, much to CNN's chagrin. Conservative politicians and other thought leaders...
I love it. It sounds like... It's like Lieutenant Commander Data explaining the nature of art. Like, yes, Matt, I know what entertainment is. I know that children are stupid. I know this, Matt. I understand these things. I don't know that we need it 2 minutes and 15 seconds to explain to that.
Somehow rarely seem to notice this problem for a long time. With very few exceptions, they didn't say much about it. But parents all over the country have been aware of what's going on for a while. And that became especially clear to me a couple of weeks ago when I decided to do a monologue opening the show about LGBT propaganda in the show Paw Patrol, which is one of the most popular television shows for children.
I can't imagine. Oh. What could be more excruciating than listening to Matt Walsh, a 35-year-old Philistine sociopath, dissecting fucking Paw Patrol, chat? Others fan says, "Hey, Bechtloff, how's that book coming? Show him how it's done." Yes, thank you very much. I know I should be doing the book. Someone says, "Read comics by Jadzia, Alex, Jadzia. Isn't that the fucking Trill in Deep Space Nine?" We're dealing with conservatives. He needs to explain it to, I guess. This is called a TV show. I mean, to some really conservative evangelicals, you kind of have to. You ever hear one of these evangelicals talking about a secular show they like, and they have to throw a million caveats and like apologize for liking it?
And I went into some detail about Paw Patrol's newest writer, who's this creepy activist who makes sing-songy videos for kids about abortion and transgenderism. You know,
are they doing abortions on Paw Patrol? It's pretty fucking badass is what that is. I'm kind of amazed. I don't know anything about Paw Patrol. The only thing I know about it is when I watch like Ninja Turtle reruns on Paramount Plus, I get Paw Patrol commercials over and over and fucking over again. Like, I got one where there was, I guess, a cat Paw Patrol, and they were in a separate Paw Patrol, a separate but equal cat Paw Patrol. I don't know. What did Nickelodeon mean by that? I don't know why the cats had to have their own separate but equal Paw Patrol. But they were having an epic team up with the regular Paw Patrol. Fucking Paw Patrol cinematic universe going on there. God, that commercial just drilled into my fucking brain. Because when you have commercials on a streaming service, it's like the same 4 commercials over and over again as you're watching. I'm trying to plow through the 2012 Ninja Turtle show every 5 minutes. Jadzia is a DC Comics Troon author. Well, that's just terrible. We don't condone that kind of language, okay? They prefer to be called she-males, I think. I think that's the term now. Or is that... Maybe that one's kind of old. I don't know. That might be out of date. I don't know, chat. I think it's she-males. I think that's what they go by. I think. I don't know. Because you see, everything goes around full circle. It's like how gay people call themselves queer, even though that used to be a slur. Like... Black people are people of color again. That used to just not fly, but now it's supposedly what you're supposed to call them. So I think the transsexuals fluked back around, and they're going by she-males again. I think. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I don't believe I've read any comics by that particular person, because you see, I'm not your boy Alex, and I'm not EVS the Grist Lantern, and I'm not fucking Eric July, who's mad that people disrespected his business. So I don't go on YouTube and talk about comics that I purchased that I knew I would not like. I don't do that. Generally, when I'm at the comic book store and I purchase a comic, it's because I think I will like it, or I'm at least interested enough to be curious. So I don't know what comics this person is writing, but I don't believe I've read any of them. But then again, I also haven't seen the Paw Patrol episode where they do abortions. I haven't seen that one. I want to see that commercial. I want to be plowing through Ninja Turtle reruns, and it's like, all right, gang, we gotta kill this baby. It's gonna be born retarded, so we have to. Somebody says, "How about you stop buying the garbage cartoons and nobody is forcing you to put your kids in front of Netflix? Just return the tradition and dust off the VHS tapes." I mean, I don't know about VHS tapes, but I'm absolutely going to say yes to digital media or to physical media. If you are having kids or you plan on having kids, especially now that they're trying to take it away from you already, Best Buy and Walmart are shutting down physical media soon. Get yourself shows you know are okay. Plop your kids in front of those. Get them on fucking DVDs. Get your Darkwing Ducks. Get your fucking old 80s G.I. Joe and Transformer and Ninja Turtles. The 03 Ninja Turtles is fine. The 2012 one is even fine. Get them on fucking DVD. I don't know, shows like Addams Family. That's a fucking great show. Kids can have that one. That's fucking great. Get that one. You know. Get kids shows you know are gonna be okay. You know. Get them on fucking DVD and don't let the kid just sit in front of whatever. Cause yeah, a lot of it's crap. A lot of it's full of fucking bullshit propaganda that you don't want them having. And you know what? I don't want the Daily Wire people propagandizing to my kids either. That's not the solution either, okay? I don't want some left-winger if I had a kid, I don't want some left-winger telling my 5-year-old son he should chop off his penis because, you know, he once picked up a doll. What's this? The kid... Did the kid pick the pink cupcake instead of the chocolate cupcake at school? Oh, off with his penis. I don't want that. But I also don't want my Daily Wire telling my kid he's supposed to die for Israel. I don't think I want Matt Walsh teaching my kid either. So yeah, maybe just take care of your fucking kids. Maybe just raise your fucking kids. And also, here's another thought. If you're an actually good parent, you're going to actually hold more sway than a fucking cartoon. Right? All right, I'm sorry. I was interrupting Matt. Maybe we'll go up to 1.5 because he is exceedingly boring.
Often in the past, when I have led the show with a topic like that, instead of, say, the war in Ukraine or now the war in Israel or the 50th Trump indictment or whatever, typically there's been some backlash. You can usually count on a few people, or more than a few, to say that it's a silly topic and that grown men shouldn't pay attention to children's shows anyway. And of course, the left always says that because they don't want you talking about what they're doing to children. They recognize how important it is. They pretend that they don't because they don't want you to notice. But historically, this has been the response from the right as well. There have always been, a decent number of conservatives.
Does he have a banjo in the background? Why does he have a banjo? There's very little set dressing on here. Very minimalist take. I expect that the view behind him is a green screen. I would be shocked if it's not. But that with the flannels, he's trying to look like he's a homesteader. He's a homesteader there, chat. He's right next to it's probably somewhere out in the distance here is Bertaria. It's his next door neighbor.
Who just don't want to hear about any topic that isn't a headline on cable news. And meanwhile, their own children, are being shaped and changed and transformed in front of them under their nose.
Somebody in the chat says Captain Planet created Greta. I'm going to fight you on that for two reasons. Number one, Greta is way too young. And Zoomers have no fucking concept of media before their time. They really don't. It's kind of shocking how much they have no concept of anything before their time. You could be like, well, they're kids. What do you expect? I knew, like, if you'd have gone back in time and looked at me when I was 6 years old and handed me a rotary phone, which I had never held in my hand before, never knew anyone that owned it, said, could you dial this phone? I could, simply because I'd seen it in old Looney Tunes cartoons. I'd seen plenty of shit before my time when I was a kid. Hell, when I was 10 years old, I discovered reruns of Get Smart. And for about a hot minute there, that was my favorite fucking show in the world. Till I plowed through all of them and moved on to something else. I knew plenty of shit before my time. But when you talk to the younger millennials even, and especially the Zoomers, and I can't imagine how bad it is with Gen Alpha, they have no fucking the younger millennials, I'm going to say everybody from born after 93, because I'm an old millennial. I'm borderline Gen X. Everyone born after 1993. No fucking concept of anything before their time. I watched some guy, I want to say it was Jay's review, but I could be getting him mixed up with somebody else. But he was doing a big retrospective of the '03 Ninja Turtles cartoon. And he talked about how he didn't even know there was an 80s Ninja Turtle cartoon until he was into his adulthood. Or until the end of that show, I guess, when they did the cross. And I'm like, how are you not aware of that? Like, whatever. Point is, no, Greta doesn't know what Captain Planet is. I would bet money. Number 2, Captain Planet didn't really influence anybody. Because Captain Planet sucked. It sucked. Captain Planet is actually a left-wing example of exactly what conservatives try to do. Because here's the thing, especially now, a lot of the left-wing propaganda in cartoons, not cartoons, just media in general, is really heavy-handed and it doesn't work. But if you go back just 10 years, even damn near 5, you didn't see that as much because while the people making these shows were leftists, they were artists, okay? They just had a belief system that bled into their work. But they were attempting to create art, not propaganda. Whether they were, for the most part, whether or not they were successful. So he says, same here, dude. I was only 6 years old when I first watched Max Fleischer's Superman cartoon in the 40s. Exactly, man. Shit, I remember when I was a kid, there was a big block of Golden Age cartoons from like the 30s into the probably late 60s. And I mean, you had Looney Tunes. It was on like either TNT or TBS. And they basically had the rights to all the shit from that era except Disney ones. So you had Popeye, Tom and Jerry, hell, even Woody Woodpecker once in a while. Fucking Droopy Dog. And then all the Looney Tunes shit, all that kind of stuff. And they just play it, just like 3-hour chunks. I remember watching the Super Friends, like shortly after... that was even before I got into comics. I think I watched some Super Friends. I watched Scooby-Doo a shit ton when I was a kid. And like a pup named Scooby-Doo when I was on when I was a kid. But I watched the old shit. I watched all of it, man. I remember I watched the hell out of G.I. Joe and Transformers. And that was pretty much before my time. G.I. Joe and Transformers Transformers especially was pretty much winding down when I was still in diapers. It was actually a couple years before me. I still watched it. I still knew of it. Fucking hell, my favorite movie in the world basically is Ghostbusters, and it came out when I was in diapers. It came out when I was 1 year old. So he said, my childhood in the 90s was full of movies from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I don't understand why you kids have to watch what's new that year. I think with the younger millennials and with the Zoomers, and probably Gen A too, and it's a broader issue really. They don't have dads. And not just that, but they don't have older brothers. They don't have older cousins. They don't, and I mean physically, they all have a father of some kind. But even if he's around, the point is they don't have a connection with those older males in their life. And I can only speak really for the males. Things might be a little different from the female side. I don't know. Don't know. I'm going to speak to the males because I have male friends that age. I know. But no, they don't have a concept of it, of anything before their time, because they didn't have those older cousins or brothers or dad or whatever that they were close to. You know, when I was like 12 and 13, it was middle school years. I want to say it was like 6th, 7th grade. My dad reached this point with me where he's like, and I look back on it as a real kind of rite of passage, as much as it seems simple and pointless or whatever. But it's like, my dad's like, okay, you're not really a kid anymore. You're not an adult, but you're not really a kid. You know, your balls have dropped. You know, you fucking sprouting hair everywhere. You sniffing around girls. You're not a kid anymore. You're 13. You know, 500 years ago, we'd be handing you a sword, sending you to battle, or handing you a plow, telling you to get to work. Like, you're not a kid anymore. You're not an adult, sure, fine, but you're not a kid. He's like, so I think you can handle certain things. So he started showing me all these mostly comedy movies from before my time. Airplane, Caddyshack, Meatballs, Kentucky Fried Movie, Animal House, just shit like that, right? And some of it I didn't like. I mean, Kentucky Fried Movie, I think, is fucking hilarious in the beginning and end, like all the commercials and fake trailers and shit. But the actual fistful of yen in the middle sucks. Meatballs, I think, sucks. It sucks. Fast Times at Richmond High was pretty good. A lot of those were great. Some of them weren't. But he's like, hey, you know, here, watch these, you know. So I don't think a lot of the youngers, they don't seem to have that. You know, and there's some of them are downright arrogant about it, just disdain for anything before their time or immediately after, you know. I mean, shit, you could see probably the most in like people that are Sonic fans online. Like there's show me one person who talks about how great Sonic Adventure 2 was that didn't have it when they were 6, because it's not actually a good game. Not really. It's mid if you're being generous. But you know, when you were 6, it blew your mind. But nobody discovered it as an adult and then were like, oh, it's actually great. And nobody like, that's every game. No, bullshit. I don't remember ever playing Kirby as a kid. I think I vaguely remember going to a friend's house and he had Kirby Adventure. And I had no fucking interest in it. I love Kirby games now. Didn't discover them until I was in my fucking 30s. Same with Metroid. Because those games are good. Like, some of these people, I mean, good God, you know what? Let's talk about your ultimate Zoomer consumer. I gotta show you this guy, Chad. Let me bring it up. Okay. My good friend Andrew Banner tweeted this out, or retweeted it, so I'll just look on his page to find it. Here we go. So this is from something called the Escape Pod Podcast. And it's the 2 most insufferable fucking nerds you've ever seen in your life. Okay, I got it playing here. So there's like a war with like some of these like Funko Pop-esque nerds, because like Martin Scorsese said a few months ago, maybe a year ago, the Marvel movies are killing cinema, which I don't agree with him on, because it's like, no, everybody scapegoats Marvel movies because they're the only thing that are making money, or were, really not so much now, when the reality is all the other corners of Hollywood were dropping the ball. You're just scapegoating the one corner that wasn't. And, you know, if you wanted to dissect Scorsese a little bit, you know, based on his filmography, I don't know, maybe he doesn't actually like movies about heroism. If you wanted to be a dick about it. But Martin Scorsese movies are fucking great. The vast majority of them are fucking great. But here are some of the worst fucking nerds you've ever seen talking about Martin Scorsese movies. So he says, wasn't my dad for me? Mostly my grandpa was showing me old stuff. Intergenerational relationships are sadly rare today. That's the point. The the younger millennials and the Zoomers, especially, didn't have that. You know, I have fond memories of me. I mean, an NES was my first system. You know, and then a Sega Genesis after that. But I remember playing an Atari 2600 at an older cousin's house. You know, can't say I enjoyed a lot of the games on it, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got the perspective of that. You know. So let's watch the world's worst nerds. Talk about Scorsese movies for a second. Just a short clip.
Then I think Martin Scorsese movies are like going to the DMV. I get it. There's a purpose. There's a reason I'm here. I got to renew my license.
You got to do it every once in a while.
I got to do it every once in a while. It's never not been tedious. Yeah. And yeah, Wolf of Wall Street's really fun for an hour. And then you pause it to go to the bathroom and you realize you got 2 more hours. And then it's brutal to get through. That's how this movie is, but it's not even fun. Then I think Martin Scorsese...
There you go, Shad. Is that not fucking enraging? Did that play? I'm sorry.
Scorsese movies are like going to the DMV.
Yeah, that's it. For a second, it looked like I wasn't getting audio on the OBS there. Ugh. But that's what the fuck happens when you raise this generation. I mean, never mind the fucking Marvel movies. When you raise a fucking generation on fucking TikTok videos and just nothing but playing fucking video games and shit. I remember that Geek Critique guy, you know, when he was talking about the first Sonic movie, and you know, he's like, "Oh, I don't really like movies. I don't like non-interactive media." It's like, what the fuck? You don't have any attention span. You can't just sit and watch something without being allowed to push a button once in a fucking while. But anyways, let's get back to Matt Walsh for a minute. Oh, I know what I was going to say before I got... So the other reason that Captain Planet didn't influence anybody is because it sucked. It was propaganda. It wasn't art. I mean, it was pushed. It was pushed heavily. Ted Turner pushed that shit on every fucking network he owned, which was half of them at the time. It had high-end animation for a show for the time. Had top-of-the-line voice actors. You had fucking LeVar Burton when he was still high on that TNG and Reading Rainbow heat. You had fucking Whoopi Goldberg in there. I mean, but it sucked. Like, kids know when they're being preached at. At least my generation did. I don't know. Maybe the Zoomers are too fucking retarded for that. But they might have a little... The Zoomers and Gen A might have a little too much smartphone brain rot to know that. But back in my day, at least, the kids knew when they were being preached at, and they didn't appreciate it.
While they're only paying attention to whatever Fox News is talking about. Now, this time, though, the reaction was very different from the norm. I'm not going to go through all the comments that listeners and readers left about that monologue. You can read them yourself if you like on the Daily Wire website. But the consensus was pretty much unanimous. People are completely fed up with the endless stream of propaganda that corporate media is directing at their children in the form of these kid shows. It's not just Paw Patrol. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everything. There were hundreds of comments along these lines. And many of them specified specific shows that have begun shoehorning left-wing agenda items into their plot lines. A lot of shows that I've never heard of because, as I've said before, the vast majority of children's programming has just been ruled out completely in my house, either because it is left-wing garbage or because it's just garbage, period. It's terrible quality, and it'll make my kids dumber, and I don't want them watching it, or oftentimes it's a combination of the two. And this is a problem that affects all children's programming these days, or almost all of it. But no titan of children's entertainment has fallen in the public eye quite like the Walt Disney Company. For generations, Disney made creative content for children that mirrored the values of their parents and their country. They weren't making these tepid, lifeless, politically correct live-action remakes. They were coming out with beautifully animated films, timeless stories like Snow White, The Lion King, Peter Pan. But in recent years, Disney's objectives have changed, and this is just not the same company that existed in the 20th century, not even close. Things are now so bad that Disney recently signed an agreement to create propaganda films for China's Ministry of Culture, which is a good fit, we have to admit. A radically left-wing company making propaganda for a communist government that is a match made in hell. Meanwhile, in this country, without even attempting to hide what they're doing, Disney has begun, and long ago began, a top-down effort to indoctrinate children into left-wing...
Yes, I know, like... This is the other problem with conservatism. This video is supposed to be about Daily Wire's kid stuff, right? But he talks about Disney and he talks about Paw Patrol. Conservatism can't define itself. It can only define what it's not. It has to define itself. There's a reason you call a far-right person a reactionary, because it's all a fucking reaction. There's no actual agency to it.
Ideologies, especially gender ideology, which invariably involves the sexualization of children. This is now what Disney stands for at every level. Last year, as you may remember, the journalist Chris Rufo published footage of Disney meetings and what they were talking about behind the scenes, and they were very open about this agenda. Here's one clip, if you didn't see it, of Disney corporate president Carrie Burke speaking in this virtual meeting with her colleagues, and it's disturbing, but it shows just how ingrained this ideology is at Disney. Watch.
I'm here as a mother of two queer children, actually, one transgender child.
Of course you are. That's the worst part of the culture war, is that both ends suck so bad. They're both so terrible. Like, that's what it is to be, like, politics brained right now. Is like, I know Disney canceled their live action Snow White, but that's a perfect example. Imagine if that and the Daily Wire Snow White were both going to release on the same day. And it's like you got two different groups of idiots, like, just scarfing down a bowl of shit to own the other side.
And one pansexual child, and also as a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I have heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of the last couple of weeks.
It is weird that, like, I forgot we were sped up for a minute until we got to somebody that speaks at a normal cadence.
In open forums and through emails and phone conversations, and I feel a responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them, to all of us. We had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the whole...
I love how we have the, like, sign language guy here. What do you want to bet? Because this is, like, this is internal corporate stuff from what I understand. What do you want to bet there's not even any deaf people in the audience? It's just that virtue signal.
Of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years where one of our execs stood up and said, you know, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. That can't
be true. We're making kids cartoons. Why aren't more of them about fucking butts? Why are more of these kids cartoons about girls licking snatch? I don't understand why that's not the case. Why are more of our children's cartoons not about chopping your genitals off? What? Only a few of our cartoons are about little boys cutting off their penises? Those are rookie numbers. We need to pump those numbers up.
I realized, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads.
We don't have enough. It's never enough. You know, nothing is ever gay enough for these people. Especially this woman who claimed to have one child who is, quote, pansexual and another who identifies as, quote, unquote, transgender. And if you have any basic understanding of statistics, you know exactly what that means. I mean, there's just no way that one parent ends up with two kids who both just happen to identify this way.
I mean, if being gay is genetic, then I guess it's not that unlikely. I mean, really, it's because she probably molested them. But just to play devil's advocate for a moment, if it is genetic, I guess it would make sense that siblings would be more likely to share that trait.
What it means is this woman is foisting gender ideology on her own children, and she's proud of it. She's happy that she programmed her kids this way, and now she wants to program yours as well. That woman is not alone at Disney, as you might imagine. Another video obtained by Rufo, a Disney executive producer, explained that she has a not-at-all secret gay agenda and regularly works on adding queerness to children's programming. And that's an infamous enough clip that we don't need to play it. You've probably seen it by now. But it's infamous for a reason. And there are many more like it. Though in truth, you don't need to listen in on Disney staff meetings to see what the company is doing. You just watch their content. The left-wing activists at GLAAD, the gay...
I mean, in all fairness, everybody tries to instill their worldview into their children. I mean, like, of course she does. If that's her worldview, then yeah. I mean, Owen Benjamin is desperately trying to convince his children that the moon is a Jewish lie. Like, those things are wrong, sure, but, you know, like, It sucks that there are children in the care of those monsters, but what are you going to do?
Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation have been doing that, and they've taken notice of Disney's activism. They just praised Disney for adding, quote, LGBTQ content into more than 40% of their productions last year. So this is overt LGBT indoctrination, even according to GLAAD, in 40% of the children's shows, just in 1 year. And that beat out every other company except Netflix. Netflix is still gayer than Disney, just by a hair, though. You know, we do things very differently here at the Daily Wire. We host several of the top news podcasts in the world. We launched a chocolate company overnight. We just took Disney head on by releasing 100 episodes of kids content. It takes very specific people with very specific skills to make the Daily Wire what it is. How do we find and hire these people? Well, we do that with ZipRecruiter. That's how. ZipRecruiter makes your whole hiring.
Oh, it's a live read. Damn it. No, we're not doing this live read. In fact, let's skip ahead a little bit. Do you want to get to the point, Matt? Do you want to get to the point? Okay, here we go. I want to hear you tell me about these kid shows and how based in red pill they are.
It's called Chip Chilla. I play a talking dinosaur toy.
He does the voices in them? No. See, this is right away. This is why you're going to fail. Chat, politics aside, I want to ask you, and remember, we have sped this up to 1.5. Politics aside, chat, do you think Matt Walsh is particularly charismatic or charming? Do you think Matt Walsh is, like, take a 5-year-old with no real concept of fucking politics, so he's not going to like Matt Walsh because Matt Walsh is based. Because the 5-year-old doesn't know what that is. And how I envy him. That he has no concept of these stupid culture war fights. Okay? Do you think he's going to be enthralled by hearing Matt Walsh's... Why just... is Ben doing any of them? Can we get Ben's nasally fucking annoying voice in there? And not even annoying in a funny Gilbert Godfrey way? You can't hire voice actors. You can't... I understand that you're probably... You know, nobody in Hollywood's going to want to work with fucking Daily Wire. Because even if you are kind of right-wing or you're just politically neutral, you're going to catch shit for it and you don't want to. Fine, I get it. But there has to be somebody somewhat talented you can get on this. Okay, let's go back a little. I want to hear more about the show he's doing.
Is that I make a key cameo appearance in one of our new animated children's shows called Chip Chilla.
It's just an animated, just a cameo. Okay, well, at least it's not Matt Walsh, the animated series.
I play a talking dinosaur toy, and this is incredible footage as well. Watch this.
Detecting nothing of interest on this planet.
You got that right, Brontor. No way I will find anything valuable around here.
That just looks like the rabbit from Winnie the Pooh if he got old.
I shall defeat Captain Brontor, for he is weak, and I am less weak.
What? Oh no!
Wow, what a staggering and beautiful performance by me. I only have one line, but I deliver it with such skill and force and artistry that it practically brings you to tears. This is what many people are saying anyway. At least it's what I said when I watched that episode with my kids last night. And I'll be honest that my daughter talked over my line, so I had to rewind it and play it again and say, everyone be quiet for a second. Listen to this.
He probably literally did that. I know he's kind of making a joke, but he probably did that. His daughter's probably like, can't we watch Frozen? It's like, no, that's commie propaganda. You're going to watch this instead. You're going to watch this thing that Ben Shapiro animated in Flash.
To make sure everyone heard it. Nobody in my living room reacted very much or seemed overly impressed with my performance, but that's because they were stunned into silence. I asked if they wanted to go back and watch the scene again. They said no, they wanted to watch another episode. Probably because the performance was so powerful that they couldn't emotionally cope with witnessing it again. Anyway, aside from the one single line I contributed, I can report that the rest of the children's content is truly terrific. It's exactly what so many parents have been waiting for. I'm not just saying that because I work here. I'm saying that because I'm a father of 6, and I'm one of those parents. We spent a couple of hours last night as a family going through the app and watching different shows. The kids loved all of it. I was personally very impressed. Beautiful animation, good stories, conservative values, all the things that most modern children's entertainment lacks. And when I say conservative values, I don't mean that the shows are political or that they hit you over the head with right-wing ideology, which is usually, again, historically, when conservatives get into entertainment, that's what it means. It means that, listen, everyone, this is conservative. Here's the conservative lesson. Check it out, guys. Just battering you over the head with a sledgehammer. That's not the case here. I mean that they are stories centered around timeless truths and virtues, courage, patience, faithfulness, love of family, and so on. These are conservative values. They are the values that we're trying to conserve and that the modern entertainment industry has been waging a war against for many years.
Where's the episode where the rabbit has to go die for Israel, though? So what do you think, chat? Do you think that they're probably well-made shows that definitely don't beat you over the head with a message? Or do you think they got like messages about how the rabbit has to die for Israel or how the cops are always right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is exactly what the kids want. You know, the kids want Matt Walsh the animated series. I could be wrong. I don't know. Zoomers are pretty retarded. They do have pretty terrible taste. You know. Let's see. Somebody asked if the Daily Wire will be better than if their Snow White will be better than the Disney one. They'll probably suck just as badly, just for different reasons. You know, I can't imagine any one of them is going to be any better. All right. Well, that's about it for tonight, folks. Went about an hour. Just shot the shit some. All right. Well, if you enjoy the content I put out, you could send a super chat when I'm not live, and I'll see it if and when I'm live again. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can always contact my good friend Andrew Banner on Twitter, books_Andy, and he'll make sure I get the message. Him and I go way back. All right, that's about it for tonight.